Hey, what's up? My name is Sahid. This is Nicholas. This is Omar, and this is the Targeted Podcast. Today is one of my favorite episodes because we get to talk about politics, which I know some people don't like to talk about. That's okay. Um, and it's going to be great because, as you guys know, we had an election recently, and on Friday, my birthday, Business Insider announced that Joe Biden will be the president of the United States, and 70 million people just breathe an active sigh of relief. Thank God. And the other half of the country is still whining about it, but whatever. We'll get there. So, question I want to ask to you guys, is how do you guys feel? What do you think about the transition? How long do you guys think it will be until like Melania gets tired and just leaves? Like, how do you think Melania's gonna stay with Trump? So refer to you guys. What are your thoughts? What are your feelings? How do you guys feel?
Well, first of all, I'm elated right now because Kamala Harris, as we all know, she went to Howard University. All right, I went to Hampton. I rep all day, every day, and I just think this is a huge moment for HBCUs. I'm almost more excited about this than I was for when Barack Obama got elected. Almost, but just having to, once I matriculated through Hampton and went on the job hunt, and just having some people not quite show like the same amount of respect for HBCUs that they did for other schools. I just think it's a landmark moment, and I'm hoping that her election will give HBCUs a little bit more attention, a little bit more respect, so they most definitely deserve it. And I think that my time at Hampton definitely made me the person I am today. So I can't stop talking about that, but definitely happy that Biden and Kamala won. I have nothing but negative things to say about the Trump presidency. So it's almost like the forces of evil have been defeated, and even if you don't really like Joe Biden and his policies, or you just you don't necessarily agree with it. I mean, the point of this election for me anyway was just like, I need to get Donald Trump out, the next person in, and then we can look at 4 years later we can say like whether or not Joe Biden was the right choice, and we could look at who the next person should be, or if he should get another chance at it. But yeah, I'm so happy. I'm so happy.
Yeah. So I'm going to say that, like most people, I had trouble sleeping that night. And I probably checked my phone, I don't know, probably about 80, 90 times that night before trying to go to bed, which is probably about 2:30 in the morning on a work night. And then on top of that, I remember setting my alarm in increments of like 1.5 or 1 hours just to check. And then I was like, wait a minute, no, some of the states aren't even going to give their results until like Friday, and some others later. But then, Friday was pretty much like Biden had such a big lead with the electoral vote, so he's pretty much just won it anyway. So I can't remember if that was Friday or Saturday, but I think they just kind of confirmed it. But yeah, I mean, super excited. I don't really know what to expect from Biden. I'll be honest, I was more so voting against Trump. I don't know a lot about Kamala Harris, but super excited that we have, a female in office as vice president. She's, African American roots, South Asian roots. So I think that's really representative of, what this the new America is really all about.
Yeah,
I don't want to.
I'm with you, man. Yeah, I'm with you. So, like, that whole week was just stressful. I hardly got any work done, and like you, just checking, making sure things happen, and it was rough. Like, so my thoughts. I don't know if you guys saw like Saturday Night Live that weekend, right?
I saw some of it.
Yeah, so Dave Chappelle, right? So Dave Chappelle was on it. He just gave like this great, amazing. This guy's the greatest comic of all time, in my opinion. So he gave this like great, amazing, just monologue about what's happening. And another part of SNL that happened that I think really just captured how I felt was that when Michael Shea came on and was like, "Yeah, it's like Shawshank Redemption, right?" Because I don't know if you ever saw that movie Shawshank Redemption, right? So that scene where they're on top of like the prison, they're just drinking beers and whatever. Like nothing's really changed, right? Technically, nothing's changed. Like we still have the problems that we still have, right? We don't know if Trump's leaving office like peacefully. Right now, he's not. But like for that moment, right? For that moment, it's just like this just just this relaxation, this 2020 hasn't given us a lot, so it gave us that.
This is it.
Yeah, it gave us that.
The only
And,
Hey, I heard Alec Baldwin got fired that night, but he was refusing to leave.
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, like continuing to like, it just shows that Black people has just been perseverant throughout just this country ever since its inception, right? Because ultimately, like the choices were between Trump, who like called African countries shithole countries, called like blacks lazy and whatnot, right? And the other is between Biden, who had the 1994 crime bill, right, and Kamala, who like bragged about like smoking marijuana while she was like not during this during she's district attorney, but bragged about smoking marijuana. And as we know, it was illegal in California until like 2009, right? So
who cares?
I mean,
who cares that she smokes some weed? Who cares?
well, my point is this though, right? We made the right choice. We can always find wrong in any of our candidates, right? And I think it really shows like the perseverance of African Americans to continuously make those tough choices, right? Like I know a lot of people that start talking about like how they always vote third party. They always like that, right? They're like finding the bad in everybody, right? And they can't make that really tough choice. And it really shows how African Americans have been able to make that tough choice. And I'm just ultimately just grateful, right? I'm grateful for, African Americans who have been in this country. Nicholas, to your family, to your ancestors that's been here fighting the good fight, right? Because of them, right, we had the Civil Rights Bill, right? Because of them, because of the Civil Rights Bill, they got the Immigration Bill, which allowed my family to come over here and me to be successful. So, yeah, I'm just grateful. I'm just happy. It's not over. It's not over, right? We have ways to go.
Yeah.
We got
So here's a question for y'all. So one of my fears this election is that once again, one candidate would win the popular vote and the other candidate would win the electoral college votes, the 270, and take on the presidency. So what's you guys' views on the electoral college? As far as I'm concerned, I think it needs to just be gone. It's kind of it's a relic of the past.
Oh,
yeah, I agree. Yeah, electoral college is. I was actually reading up about it again fairly recently. Just to, in case I'd missed anything about it in the past, I don't sound like an idiot debating with other people. But I was actually having this conversation with someone else, like right shortly after Election Day. It doesn't make sense. I mean, we have the technology nowadays where, we can count everyone's votes electronically. I mean, why? Like, look at Australia. They go with a popular vote. Why would you, essentially, and don't quote me on this. I think I mentioned this to you too, Saeed, that the past 6 or 7 presidential elections, Democrats won the popular vote. And that's, to me, that really shows that the majority of Americans who've actually come out to vote, I should say, aren't really, conservatives. Like they're more, I'm going to say progressive, even though I think we, progressive in the sense, I'm not saying progressives as a party, but I'm going to say progressive in comparison to, right, like conservatives. But basically, like we've won the last 6 or 7 elections popular vote. Why wouldn't we want to continue that? So the electoral college gives power to a lot of these, small towns, and they're all, like Republicans, and I'm not one of those people that thinks like being a Republican is a bad thing, right? There have been a lot of Republican candidates that I've liked, but not what we have in office today.
Yeah, here's the thing about the Electoral College. It's not going anywhere, right? It's not. And the
I don't know.
thing,
there's some. I know there's some measures being passed by some of the state. Not necessarily to get rid of it, but I think it's going to change. I think how it operates.
but
I think it's going to make the popular vote worth more.
So I read about that. So here's the thing about that. So let's say to change the Electoral College, right? You will need a constitutional amendment, right? That means you need 2/3 of Congress on both the House of Representatives and Senate, right? You also need 2/3 of states to say, yeah, we're going to make this amendment to get rid of the Electoral College, right? Nicholas, what you're talking about, though, is states pledging their Electoral College vote to whoever wins the popular vote, right?
That's what it is.
That's what you're talking about, right? So that's why I read about that, too. So, but let's think about that for a second. Would a state like Texas or Florida, that's a heavily conservative state, right, pledge their votes to the popular vote, right?
Well, well, it's a start, but I mean that just raises more issues for me, right? So right now you're telling me that it is possible for an electoral college to say, you know what, even though this person won the popular vote, F it, I'm voting for this person. That's right there. As far as I'm concerned, I mean that means that that's why people feel like their votes don't count.
Exactly.
No, yeah. I mean, look. There are 4 million Republican voters in California. There were 5 million Democratic voters in Texas, right? Like, we definitely need to get rid of the Electoral College. Right now, there's just too much in the way because it helps just those in power. As Omar says, the last 6 out of, I think, 7 Democrats won the popular vote. And majority of those presidents got to select a Supreme Court justice as well, right? The only president that's won the popular vote since 2000 was George W. Bush against John Kerry.
You said the only Republican president?
The only Republican president that won the popular vote was George Bush against John Kerry.
Damn.
Every time since then, since 2000, has been a Democrat winning the popular vote, and I think that is just shocking. To me,
that's crazy.
That's gotta change. That's gotta change. So, but it's not going to because it's going to take too much work, and we can barely, us as a country, we can barely agree that Trump is a bad guy. Right? Like half the country is still like whining about this guy losing the election. Right.
Well, I don't know because there's a reason why his approval ratings were so low throughout his entire presidency.
Yeah, so but he got 70 million votes. He got 70 million votes. Still, right? I mean, he still lost to Biden by 5 million, but he got 70 million votes.
That's what's scary. I agree, and that's what's scary. It's not even about losing, and Biden, so far won by 4 million votes, which is more than Hillary won over Trump, which was like just around 3 million. But God, that's. It's crazy, and I think, I don't know if we wanted to take the conversation, in this direction, but, I have, friends and colleagues, like we all do that are, that support Trump, and I've always been, yeah, man, yeah, and I've always had friends with, I've always had friends with different political beliefs, and that's never gotten in the way. I'm sure same thing with you guys. But why has this been so different? And I think what a lot of pro-Trump supporters don't really realize, and I'm not blaming only them, because I've seen a lot of, really like a lot of excessive negativity and violence from, people like on the left as well, but majority of it, I'm going to say it was Republicans, because Trump has been anti-immigrant, anti-everything. He's empowered, white supremacy. I mean, there's facts that show all of this. and it's out there. And then he's literally brainwashed his supporters so that they don't believe anything anyone says. Dr. Fauci, FBI, CIA, or whatever it is. But mind you, back in 9/11, right, when Muslims were, on the face of, every headline, and that we're all like terrorists and extremists and stuff like that, and we kept crying out and saying, no, we're not all like that. We're not all like that. It's less than 1% of us. And they didn't care. They didn't care. And we were saying the media's lying, media's lying. And now look. And so to me, that's what I think about, and it's like at the end of the day, like, these are people who are, I hate to put it this way, but, unfortunately, these are people that think, the U.S. is like, white man's world, white man's country. And it's not. That's not what this country is founded for. That's not what the Statue of Liberty stands for.
Yeah. I mean, so Omar, so my view a little bit different. So I'll just say this. Trump is what? Banned, had a Muslim ban, right? He's
Yeah.
called African countries shithole nations, right?
Yeah.
Guess who's African and Muslim?
Yeah, I know. I
This guy,
know.
right?
I know.
So,
I feel bad for you. Same
yeah,
thing.
I
My
mean,
brother-in-law, same thing, man.
yeah, I mean, look, from what I get from Trump supporters, those who I argue with a lot, they think they're in the right? They think that, oh yeah, we know that he's not a great guy or he's not a popular guy, but it's about my beliefs and my values and whatever, right? And it's like, and
I hear that a
I
lot.
bet you get to hear this a lot. It's like, well, I respect you, I love you, and now this and this, right? But if you do all that, then why you support some guy that pretty much disowns me
Thank you.
as a
Thank you.
human being, right?
Thank you.
I mean, I was like arguing with someone online. It's like, well, yeah, I respect you and I give you respect and I love you and all this stuff. I'm like, well, but you still support this guy.
I see that all the time. And it's like,
really?
exactly. And this is an extreme example, but imagine going back to Nazi Germany and asking, a Hitler supporter and saying, telling them, I dare you to go to a Jew and tell them, hey, we can be friends. My political beliefs shouldn't affect you. I mean, it's a little bit of an extreme example, but it's not far off.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just tell you this. If there was an ISIS candidate and we started supporting him, like freaking we'll be like laughed at, as we should, right? As we should.
Yep.
As we should, right?
Yeah.
But it's okay to support Trump, who cannot denounce white supremacy, or waits to a day later to denounce white supremacists, which is just blows my mind. Also, do you remember, Omar, back in during that time, when people were constantly attacking Muslims, and they're like, well, Muslims need to speak out against this stuff, right? You hear that
Oh my God, all the time.
all the time. So, well, what
It
do
was so
Muslims do?
frustrating.
Why don't they speak up about this? So
For
here's
years.
white supremacists. Zero. Nothing. Nada.
Yeah,
They'll say something a little bit, and then they'll start complaining about well, it's the liberals blowing out of proportion and this and that. And it's just.
It was Obama's fault. It's the liberals' fault. It's everyone else's fault. It's Hillary's fault. Everyone except Trump.
Yeah.
And he was the one on live TV couldn't do something as simple as saying, I denounce Proud Boys.
Yeah.
Couldn't even say that.
Yeah. In the moment, right? He usually waits a day afterwards, right? The Charlottesville thing is oh, there's good and bad on both sides. Imagine saying that to an American soldier fighting for our freedom across the world. And it's well, there's good and bad on both sides.
Yep.
What?
Imagine if Biden said that about ISIS, and ISIS puts up a Twitter saying, standing by president, standing down, standing by. Just imagine, how Americans here would react, right?
Yeah.
Or I should say Republican conservatives.
Or if Obama said anything like that, right?
Yeah.
As soon as Obama ever said anything or did anything out of pocket, they blasted him. It's not going to be the tan suit.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
But
tan suit.
So going back, there's a reason why we called the podcast The Targeted, right? So, you have Muslims on the crew. You have, I'm African American, obviously.
Don't go running
around being targeted. Yeah,
It's a double target.
all of us have felt targeted, more or less, and more so in the last 4 years. It's gotten to the point where, weird thing about getting, a handgun and whatnot, and learning how to use it. And a lot of people I talk to are talking about, hey man, I'm getting armed, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I think twice about. I used to go running all the time. I started thinking twice about that when there's another guy out there running just like I do with his music on, and somebody rolls up on him with a truck and kills him. So this for me is just like just everything that he represented. And it's not, and I'm not even sure that he necessarily represented it all. It's just that the rhetoric that he was spewing out, I think that he was just trying to get enough of those people to support him to
Exactly.
And I'm not even, I'm not going to speak on his beliefs or not, but because I think for him, everything comes back to the dollar and what he
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
No.
So it just what I just got tired of is just those people feeling empowered to come out and do all this crazy stuff, and it's just gotten out of hand. So, but the other thing taking things back to the election for a second, the one thing that irritated me was, why did it take so long for some of the states to count their votes?
Yep.
It's
Thank you.
2000.
It's 2020. It's
Okay.
2020. Why are we waiting for Nevada to count their votes?
We still have people doing it by hand. Okay, it's like at this point, why did it take you? What was it, like a week to count the votes? And I mean, you had one of the smallest voter counts to come out, amongst all the swing states that we were waiting for. Like everybody lives in freaking Las Vegas. Like nobody else cares about what do you count? You know what I mean? So
I was thinking about that too, and I think like a lot of this stuff really just happened really late. I think I think to come up with like a system, program a system, and to automatically count votes and stuff like that. I mean, sure, I think they could have done it over several months in advance, but I don't think a lot of them are as organized as we think. And I agree. I think there were some states that just have policies that they should have adjusted for election day, which was they don't count the votes until election day, whereas most states started counting early, which is I think what they all should have done. The whole thing was just really unorganized.
Look, we bank online. I pay my bills online.
Exactly.
We do so much secure stuff online.
Yeah.
We can vote online. The problem, the possibilities there, the ability is there, right? We have the technology. We can keep it safe, right? The problem is, do we have the will to do it, right? And the fact of the matter is, look, it's about power, right? Conservatives know that if this happens, we do by popular vote, and people have more access to voting, they lose, right? Instead of them worrying about how to get more people to vote for them, right, and actually changing their messaging, they want to cater to racist, right? And like,
who were the majority of the people that were voting? Like mail-in ballots and early voting, right?
Yeah,
we all know, right? It was majority of them, far majority, were Democrats, right?
Yeah. So I mean, look, we can do it if we want to, right? And I mean, I would even go this far as to say this, because people are just frustrated about the two-party system in general. If we got rid of the electoral college, that's no more red states, no more blue states, right? That will open up the door for a third party to finally come in, because they don't have to win a state, right? That's way down the line. But I mean, we don't think down the line like that, right? We think of like the here and now. We think about the next election, right? Trump's already saying I'm going to run in 2024. Hopefully he's in jail by then, but I'm just saying.
No, I don't think anything's going to happen to him legally. I don't think so at all.
Yeah, we have to have an amendment, right? Have to have an amendment, and it's just
so this is where I think, in some instances, I don't want to get too much into politics here, but like in some instances, for me, this is where I think that having an increase of government regulation for some things is necessary. So the election is a national concern, right? Mm-hmm. But different states count votes differently, and that's definitely something that you heard reported in this election. So I mean, for me, at this point, it's just we just need to come out. The government just needs to come out and regulate how votes are counted. You count in the mail-in votes. You count in the early ballots. You count all votes, right? Not just this like, if you vote on a certain day, then it's counted or it's not or whatever. Like all the votes if you don't meet the deadline, you don't meet the deadline.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. So, a question for you guys, right? With all that's happening, right? Trump is refusing, like he's doubling down. He has those crazy supporters in Washington D.C., like marching for him, like
Without masks.
without mask, right? That dude, I don't know if you saw the video of him like pretty much being a child, like in like the backseat of the car, like driving through like the neighborhood, like driving through like his protester friends, like waving at him. Like it's just silly, right? But let me ask you guys this: what do you guys think about the transition? Like, what do you think is gonna happen to him? Do you think? Well, I give Melania 6 months to a year to leave. I think she's gonna leave in about 6 months to a year.
Well, I mean, I don't even care about that. I'm not even concerned with that. My thing is, it's come, was it January 21st or whatever?
20th.
I don't care if there's a transition or whatever. Like, just as long as he's gone, I can care less. It's over. Your time is over. Thank you.
But he's doing so much right now to kind of usurp that, right? So, for example, he's trying to install a lot of his loyalists. I think I just read an article today that he wanted to like find options to nuke Iran, right? Like literally would nuke Iran like, for what, right?
I think those are random headlines.
So, he's just doing all this crazy stuff, like I don't know.
I was just reading an article recently, a couple days ago, actually, and it was talking about how it was from Associated Press, actually, and it was talking about how people in the White House right now are pretty much just telling Trump, like,
it's over.
It's over. Legally, there's really next to no chance of you winning. It doesn't seem to be any like, proof of anything like fraudulent with the election, like the polls and stuff. And then even though Trump's been like going, his usual caps lock tweets, he's actually been like they've been saying he's actually been like pretty like quiet and like low energy in the White House lately since election day, and that it just seems like he doesn't really have any plan. He's just like randomly coming up with new stuff every single day, as if like like let's say you come out of like a bad breakup and you're just in denial and you're just like well, what if I try this now? And next day, what if I try this now? And the other day, what if I try this now? Right, like how Nicholas is with DC movies, right? He thinks at some point they're just gonna get better, right? Like an obsessive
Martha!
guy just got dumped.
Martha! You're gonna kill Martha.
Little does he know that he's destined for his next girlfriend named Marvel.
Anyway, if you want to talk Marvel vs. DC, we can do that in the next episode. I'm happy to do that.
Omar, to your point though. So I read earlier too that first the house was like his White House was split 50-50, like with like his wife and like some other like close to him were saying you should concede, while other ones saying no, you should fight on. And I think it's just now they're starting to come to terms. He actually tweeted that he only lost because they cheated. So he actually conceded that he lost, but then he like reversed and tweeted against like, no, I'm not conceding anything. So this guy, I don't know what's
He's just being really emotional about it. Yeah, but if you don't mind, I actually want to finish off one last thing I wanted to say about that really quick was I think Trump is over with. I think Trump's done. I don't think we have anything more to worry about Trump with. I mean, he's still doing some shady stuff, right? Like firing, SecDef Mark Esper, right?
Yeah. He just fired somebody today, by the way. He fired his
again
security chief.
Oh my God! Right,
so cybersecurity chief just now.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
For saying, I think he said that
they were debunking the election. They were debunking election myths.
Wow. Yeah. See, and that's his thing. Another sign of a dictator, right? Just he wants to keep loyalists in his party. But anyhow, I think the real Trump threat is gone. But I don't. Well, from himself, what I'm more worried about now is the damage he's caused. That's going to take decades to repair, and how he's activated all these and motivated, inspired all these, people to extremist levels. Violence and everything. I mean, his supporters are like just like him. Like they're not giving up. And they're like, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. So that was what I wanted to add.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, we've defeated Trump. We haven't defeated Trumpism.
Yes, exactly. That's what it is.
We need to defeat Trumpism, and that's going to just take time, right? Again, 70 million people voted for him. 70 million people thought it was okay to have like a racist, misogynist, xenophobic, homophobic president, right? All the obics, right? That's Trump. He will probably go down as the worst president in history, right? Yeah. Especially if he goes to jail, right? Yeah. Modern history. So,
I don't think he'll ever touch jail time.
I think I was at the point where I'm tired of everyone focusing on Donald Trump the person, and not the issues played in the country. Like I'm just over. It's like we had a celebrity president. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm ready to get back to this is who the president is. Great, but what are the laws we're enforcing? What are the policies that we're building? What are the relationships? How are we going to rebuild our global brand as a country, right? Because it's shot right now, right? No respect from China, no respect from a lot of we've lost a lot of the allies that we used to have. Mm-hmm. So that's really what I'm looking forward to, man. Because for me, I need my president to be a diplomat. I need someone who can deal with people of all cultures, countries, whatever. So
at least the Russians love us.
They love Trump. What are the odds that Trump defects to Russia?
Hey.
Well, watch him like January 21st. He's in like in Russia. He's in St. Petersburg. Just chilling, not leaving.
Where there's a will, there's a way. Man will find it. Believe me. Man, it'll be on some outrageous stuff too. You can believe that.
Yeah. All right. So ready to wrap it up, guys?
Let's do it. Any last words?
No. Well, let me say thank you to you guys because this year sucked. Right? This year sucked. But our conversations with you guys, like, it really like held me up above water. Like, seriously.
I agree to that.
Yeah, like.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that. I don't have anything to drink to, unfortunately, but
water.
Like one of the things that frustrates me.
Batman.
There's nothing in here, but yeah, sure. Cheers. And one of the things that frustrates me because like among groups of friends, right, they don't want to talk about the issues. They don't want to talk like when this racial injustice situation happened, right, with Ahmaud Arbery, with Jacob Blake, with just so many things happening. Like that became such apparent this year. It amazed me how some people like just couldn't really talk about it, right, amongst themselves, right? And like I said earlier, they would love to like just give you the performative, oh, I love you, I love everybody. Why does it got to be about race? Just a really performative, annoying shit instead of, really just talking about it. And we need to understand that these situations don't go away until enough people say, stop, that's enough. Until enough people stand up and say, this is not okay, right? That we need to, like, this is not okay. This needs to stop. This needs to end. Situations like that doesn't go away, right? So to all of those people who stood up for our civil rights, who's been in this country fighting the good fight, making the hard decisions, thank you so much. Rest in peace, John Lewis. Yeah. So yeah, with that.
There's one other thing I wanted to say. One more thing.
All right, so it's two things then. Nicholas and I.
Two things.
Okay.
Right. So going back to what you were talking about, like with some of those uncomfortable conversations, I just wanted to plug actually another YouTube channel that I just stumbled on the other day. It's Emmanuel Acho, and his series is Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man, and it's really good stuff. Like he sat down with police officers, he sat down with people of all different backgrounds, and just really had some good enlightening conversations. So go get them views, man.
Nice.
Right,
yeah, I'm gonna check that out. I want to end this off by reading something I shared on my personal Facebook page today. And Sahid, I know you saw it. This is going to be one of the most profound statements you've heard all year, in my opinion. This is not the year to get everything you want. This is the year to appreciate everything you have. I realized that when I had COVID back in May. And I was going to sleep every night, worried I wouldn't see my wife or daughter in the morning. And I did that for 3 weeks, almost a full 3 weeks. And so that really struck a chord. And I think, same thing with like elections and everything, right? No matter which side, blue or red, whatever it is, I hope that, everyone realizes that, everything can change in the blink of an eye, even in this country.
Man.
So
Yeah.
I think that's going to be something I'm going to take with me to 2021.
Yeah,
That's a great statement. Like that just struck a chord with me right now because I felt that as I was watching Kamala Harris like make her speech with my daughter, right?
Mm.
So she doesn't know it obviously, but she was witnessing history. So I took a picture of that, of her watching TV and Kamala Harris being on the screen so I could show her.
I saw that picture. It's a beautiful picture, man. Very
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're right. Omar, you sometimes can be a wise ninja. Sometimes you're wise. Other times, no. But
Hey, look, man, I just charge people to repeat what my teacher said to me before, and I get to take credit. That's all it is.
are you sure you would admit that? Like, why are you paying this guy? Just go to the teacher.
Yeah, right. Hey, Stevens.
Cool. All right, so ready to call, guys? All right.
Yes, sir.
All
Take
right.
us out.